I'm a firm believer of that, to where, like, if we are an ecosystem, why doesn't that ecosystem then extend to the next realm of ecosystem, to where, like, there's an Earth ecosystem, and then obviously there would be a space ecosystem, and there would be, like, we're a smaller organism on the grand scheme, and there would be larger organisms, like something that would produce the space turd known as a Maru Maru.
Like a Galactus.
I think it was called
a Galactus, or like that
Oumuamua.
that worm in Empire Strikes Back that eats the Millennium Falcon. It would produce a space turd like that.
What about Shai Hulud from the planet Arrakis, sometimes called Dune?
Oh, I didn't know that was alive.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, the spice must flow, man. The spice must flow. And actually, the spice from Dune is the excretions of the sandworm. So maybe Oumuamua is the space turd of some gigantic space worm that eats planets. And we're going to spend some portion of our evolution traveling through the digestive tract of a gigantic exobiology.
Anyway, welcome to Werewolf Radar.
The world's premier space worm preparedness podcast. My name is Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
I am Roger Norquist.
And today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to us by Monstroko brand Nether Mayo, made from the eggs of Redacted, with just a touch of Redacted. Nether Mayo from Monstroko. What the fuck? So they don't really say, I mean, they do say what it's from.
And then have to legally redact it.
So, or somebody does. Because we're not ready for it, but it's good. I've been eating it. It's not a color I can
describe. Yeah,
you don't have words for it. Yeah,
if I look at it too long, it's not like, it doesn't hurt, but it's like, when you have to sneeze until you die.
Yeah, it feels like glitter.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
Glitter was a color.
Exactly. But I'll tell you what. You put it on a sandwich and whoa, talk about a space turd. Anyway,
time.
I don't like mayo, but I'm into trying this.
Well, specifically, this is not mayo. They couldn't be more clear about that. It is the opposite of mayo. It is the absence of mayo.
But you can find it at every Jersey Mike's.
Yes. Jersey Mike's been using this for years. Nether Mayo is pretty much all they use. That's what Mike's way is. Mike's way is the way of the shadowed knife. Mike's way is the way of the coiling serpent. Kothgarno, Mike. Kothgarno.
All right, what are we talking about, everyone?
Boy, we're talking about aliens, man. It's Alienuary. We all decided sort of instinctively that we had to, we've done ghosts, we've done big feet, we've cracked them, we solved them, and now we're doing aliens. We're gonna deep dive on aliens for all of January. At least I am. You guys are invited to partake, but you don't have to. But I'll be going Alienuary all January.
Yeah, but we're following suit, except for me this time. I got a leftover, but it's hilarious.
Fair enough. Love a hilarious leftover. It's like a joke pie or something.
Kinda. You'll never guess. I'll surprise you.
Hilarious. It's like a turkey with like spring snakes in it.
No, you'll never guess it, but yeah, it's like that.
This isn't stuffing at all.
That would be a hilarious thing to have.
Oh,
happen.
I ate 1.5 pounds of it. I'll go first. You guys want me to go first?
Go first. Sure. Hit us with that alien beginnings.
So let's call this segment Alien Beginnings. I just thought of it. And I think it's a great name. I think it could go all the way. And I did want to kind of talk about the beginning of the UFO phenomena, the UFO culture. But there's so much going on there that it's hard to pick a place to start. So I did. And today we're going to talk about the Betty and Barney Hill incident. We've talked about it a few times. We've mentioned it a few times. It is one of the most famous, if not the most famous.
Yeah, I mean, it kicks off all of the UFO conspiracy.
UFO abduction kind of culture, but I wanted to be clear that this is not the first UFO abduction. This is the first time that people decided to look at it with kind of through the modern lens. There is, if you go to the Wikipedia page for UFO, you can find a section called Early History that will give you a list of unexplained aerial phenomena through history, which is in fact where we're going to start our little journey today.
Ooh,
and if you want to get into Zechariah Sitchin,
I do.
Then you're talking abductions going back to 5,000 BC.
Yeah, cuneiform depictions of abductions.
Cuneiform, he said it. Everybody drink. Okay. So, we're going to stop off first. This says unexplained aerial observations have been reported throughout history. Some are undoubtedly astronomical in nature. These may include comets, bright meteors, one or more of the 5 planets that can be readily seen with the naked eye, planetary conjunctions, or atmospheric optical phenomena such as parhelia or lenticular clouds. Parhelia is also known as a sundog.
A sundog.
Or sometimes in the winter in Colorado, you get those moon dogs when it's really cold around the moon, like a halo. It's really cool.
These just both sound like 2 different surfers.
And exactly,
yeah, dude, and they're constantly in competition.
Are. An example is Halley's Comet, which was first recorded by the Chinese astronomers in 240 BC and possibly as early as 467 BC. Such sightings throughout history, and this is something that I wanted to mention, is when I say we looked at it through a scientific or modern lens, for years, decades, eons, people had been seeing things in the sky. But when they would report it in, say, Bible times, they were seeing a cross in the sky. If it was the Dark Ages, they were seeing a flaming shield or a wheel, you know? If it was, sometimes people went missing and they found circular patches in a field where that person was seen working or something.
A lot of like fairy circles have been thought of.
Precisely.
Yes, you know.
Bingos. That's a pingo. But I want to
think about a lot of your mythologies. That's what Ancient Alien's about, and something I at least agree on is that maybe some of these tales were in fact like a weird alien abduction that got really blown up in their culture's storytelling. Like what is that? Is the Book of Ezekiel where he gets abducted?
Ezekiel on the mountain sees an angel, which is like the biblical angels are hysterical, and it was so funny to see them. Like a lot of people on Twitter and stuff this year were being like, I made this biblical description of an angel for my tree, and it's just this horrifying, like a wheel within a wheel, and the wheel is covered in eyes and it has 17 wings and like goat legs coming out around it and shit.
Yeah, it's like a horrific Evangelion monster.
Yeah, truly. Or like a mid-tier Digimon evolution. What are you doing, Digimon?
Zechariah Sitchin. What's the guy's name? Eric Vonnegut.
Van
Daniken. Yeah, Van Daniken. They all think that these descriptions of angels were actually spaceships, stuff like that.
Right. And you do have to be careful with ancient alien stuff because it's
very careful.
It can be pretty dismissive of ancient cultures and being like, no,
it's sometimes
Egyptian
racist,
could build a pyramid. And it's like, yeah, they had triangles too. But here are some encounters, and I do want to get to the Betty and Barney Hill thing, so I'm going to try as sneakily as I can
get us there
to pack 2 topics into one segment that we're calling, what was it? Alien Beginnings.
Jam Pack.
Jordan's Damn it. Okay.
Well, that's what it is now.
Welcome to Jordan's Jam Pack. First top of the Jam Pack. Early history of alien sightings. Okay, Julius Obsequens was a Roman writer who was believed to have lived in the middle and the 4th century AD. The only work associated with his name is the Liber de Prodigiis, the Book of Prodigies. Completely extracted from an epitome or abridgment written by Ivy de Prodigiis, was constructed as an account of the wonders and portents that occurred in Rome between 249 and 12 BCE. An aspect of Obsequion's work that has inspired much interest in some circles is that references are made to things moving through the sky. These have been interpreted as reports of UFOs, but may just as well describe meteors. And since Obsequion's probably writes in the 4th century, that is some 400 years after the events he describes, they hardly qualify as eyewitness accounts. Okay. So not a great one out of the gate. But flash forward. April 14th, 1561, residents of Nuremberg described the appearance of a large black triangular object. According to witnesses, there were also hundreds of spheres, cylinders, and other odd-shaped objects that moved erratically overhead. 1566 celestial phenomenon over Basel was a series of mass sightings of celestial phenomenon above Basel, Switzerland. Celestial phenomena was said to have fought together in the form of numerous red and black balls in the sky. In the 15th and 16th centuries, many leaflets wrote of miracles and sky spectacles, quote unquote. On January 25th, 1878, the Denison Daily News printed an article in which John Martin, a local farmer, had reported seeing a large, dark, circular object resembling a flying balloon flying at a wonderful speed.
What's a wonderful speed? Is it like a skipping speed, or is it like a running speed, like free in the fields?
You know it when you see it, you know.
like a gazelle
gait. Anything that makes you go, wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. Look at it.
Anything that makes you look up from your sorghum. I was out there farming a sorghum and this balloon come around at a wonderful speed. Martin, according to the newspaper account, said it appeared to be about the size of a saucer. One of the first uses of the word saucer in association with a UFO. In April 1897, thousands of people reported seeing airships, quote unquote, in various parts of the United States. Many signed affidavits. Scores of people reported talking to the pilots. Thomas Edison was asked his opinion and said, "You can take it from me, it is a pure fake."
Well, do you think that was just Edison and Tesla having an airship battle they had to keep covering up?
We also knew for a fact that Edison, bit of a butthead. Anyway.
Bit of an evil man. You can go to a Smithsonian exhibit and see how evil it is.
On February 28th, 1904, there was a sighting by 3 crew members of the USS Supply, 300 miles west of San Francisco, reported by Lieutenant Frank Schofield, later to become Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Battle Fleet. Schofield wrote of 3 bright red meteors, one egg-shaped and the other 2 round, that approached beneath the cloud layer, then soared above the clouds, departing after 2 to 3 minutes. The largest had an apparent size of about 6 suns, he said.
Wait. So it was like 6 suns,
like when you see
actual
the sun
size
in the sky.
of the sun?
Yeah,
okay.
No, like the sun in the sky, like you hold up a quarter, not like gargantuan, and everybody else just was asleep.
Yeah, these are people who didn't understand how to tell the size of something in the air.
Mm-hmm. The 3 earliest known pilot UFO sightings of 1,305 similar sightings cataloged by the NARCAP took place in 1916 and 1926. On January 31st, 1916, a UK pilot near Rochefort reported a row of lights resembling lighted windows on a railway carriage that rose and disappeared. In January 1926, a pilot reported 6 flying manhole covers between Wichita, Kansas, and Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Flying manhole covers.
In late September 1926, an airmail pilot over Nevada said he had been forced to land by a huge, wingless, cylindrical object.
Forced to land sounds interesting. Like it kept crowding him?
Yeah. Came down at him.
I think it was trying to race for his pinks, but he didn't want to go.
Could you just imagine a bunch of aliens just trying to race pilots for their pinks? Once again, there's a lost in translation aspect, and they just can't do it right.
Sure. In the Pacific and European theaters of war during World War II, Foo Fighters, metallic spheres, balls of light, and other shapes that followed aircraft were reported and on occasion photographed by Allied and Axis pilots. That's where the name Foo Fighters came from. There goes my
Dave
hero.
Grohl, Up in the Sky, 1942.
Dave Grohl. Some proposed Allied explanations at the time included St. Elmo's fire, the planet Venus, hallucinations from oxygen deprivation, or German secret weapon. Anyway, flash forward to 1961. Betty and Barney Hill were an American couple who claimed they were abducted by extraterrestrials in a rural portion of state of New Hampshire from September 19 to 20, 1961. It was the first widely publicized report of an alien abduction in the United States. The incident became called the Hill abduction and the Zeta Reticuli incident because the couple stated they had been kidnapped by aliens who claimed to be from Zeta Reticuli.
Oh yeah, this moved beyond everything. This was like facts and information was all like, I know about the creatures that took us.
Zeta Reticuli. Going to drop this in the Zoom chat for the Dark Council to peruse at their leisure. The incident came to be known as the Hill abduction, blabber and blabbity blah. Their story was adapted into the best-selling 1966 book, The Interrupted Journey, and the 1975 television movie, The UFO Incident. In September 2016, plans were announced to make a film based on the events with an unknown release date. Come on, Netflix. What's the deal? Make it happen. Idris Elba as Barney Hill. Come on.
Oh, that would be a good casting.
That would be pretty dope, actually.
Betty still up in the air. You know what? Let's give it to ScarJo. She's been looking to work with Netflix.
Yeah,
she's been looking to play a black man.
She can play any race.
and he's not as Barney Hill for Betty Hill.
Nah, she would prefer it if she did Barney Hill. Are you saying she's not a good enough actor?
Anyway, so the story goes, most of Betty Hill's notes, tapes, and other items have been placed in the permanent collection of the University of New Hampshire, her alma mater. In July 2011, the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources marked the site of the alleged craft's first approach with a historical marker. Interesting. This is the UFO encounter. Little background. The Hills were living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at the time, 1922 to 1969. Barney was a postman. Betty was a social worker, active in the local Unitarian congregation. They were members of the NAACP, community leaders.
Yeah, Barney they were people of high respect in the society.
Barney sat
they're big people in their community.
Of the United States Commission of Civil Rights, and it sees fit to note that they were an interracial couple. So take note, Netflix. UFO encounter. According to which I suppose is of note to the political tapestry of 1961.
This has also already been made into a movie.
A variety of reports given by the Hills. The alleged UFO sighting happened on September 19th, 1961, around 10:30 p.m. The Hills were driving back to Portsmouth from a vacation in Niagara Falls, Montreal.
Boo! You deserve to be abducted.
Hey, what's wrong with Niagara Falls?
Everything. Why would you want to go to someone? I guess I just don't understand the beauty of a frozen waterfall.
Wow, what a weird, it's strange bias towards Niagara Falls during podcast.
Sorry, go on. Well,
Roger,
this is a different podcast.
What happened?
Roger spent most of high school pretending to have a girlfriend from there.
and
then she died going over the falls.
Yeah. No one believed me, but I was like, here's the newspaper clippings from 1920.
I get it. I dig it.
She used a barrel. It did not work.
So they're coming back from vacation. Oh, what a lovely time in Niagara Falls and Montreal we had, Barney. You're right, Betty. We've had a lovely vacation here in 1961, northern New England. Just south of Lancaster, New Hampshire, Betty claimed to have observed a bright light in the sky that moved from below the moon and the planet Jupiter upward west of the moon. Barney!
This light, it just moved behind the moon. It just went next to Jupiter.
That is for sure going to be my my Betty Hill voice. Barney!
It's very enduring.
Yes. Okay. So upward west of the moon, while Barney navigated U.S. Route 3, Betty reasoned that she was observing a falling star, only it moved upwards since it moved erratically and grew bigger and brighter. Betty urged Barney to stop the car for a closer look. Pull over! As well as to walk the dog. Delcy, the dog's name was Delcy. Good dog name. Good
yeah,
dog
that's
name.
pretty solid. Good for you, Hills.
I like a good dog. I like it. You know, any name that would also apply to a boxer, I think is a good dog name.
Yep, boxer names and dog names, the same.
Yeah. Barney stopped at the seal.
Great boxer, great dog.
Dang it. He seems like a guy who wouldn't swear. Darn it, I'm pulling over, Beatrice. I don't know that that's her real name. All right, when you walk, Delcy, I'll go talk to him.
For sure, that was the time.
Hi, fellas. I'm a United States postal worker.
Here's my badge. Here's my postal worker information.
Flashes a badge. It's just a letter. that's just some mail. And it's not yours.
But how'd I get it?
They pull over to walk the dog, take a look at the alien. Betty looked through binoculars and observed an odd-shaped craft flashing multicolored lights travel across the face of the moon. Because her sister had several years earlier said she had seen a flying saucer, Betty thought it might be what she was observing. Through binoculars, Barney observed what he reasoned was a commercial airliner traveling toward Vermont on its way to Montreal.
Can you imagine that argument right there? It's a UFO. It's one of the flying saucers.
Oh, gosh darn it.
I'm
not going to have this argument again. Now, this is kind of at the you know, UFOs have entered the zeitgeist, but this isn't what you would call the UFO craze quite yet. Yes. As we mentioned, the Betty and Barney Hill incident kind of kicked that off. But I digress. Betty looked through binoculars, spots the craft. She says, Barney, have a look. Barney, look! He thinks it's a plane. However, he soon changes his mind because without looking as if it had turned, the craft rapidly descended in his direction. Oh, no.
That seems terrifying.
Yeah.
He's just looking at it through binoculars. He's like, that's just a plane. They're headed towards Vermont, and then it turns at him.
Yeah. It did. The thing is,
I'm coming for you, bitch.
It didn't turn. It went straight down like a.
Get back in the car.
Beatrice, get back in the car. This observation caused Barney to realize this object that was a plane was not a plane. They quickly returned to the car and drove toward Franconia Notch, a narrow mountainous stretch of the road. The Hills claimed that they continued driving on the isolated road, moving very slowly through Franconia Notch in order to observe the object as it came even closer. At one point, the object passed above a restaurant and signal tower on top of Cannon Mountain and came out near the Old Man of the Mountain, which is a rock feature you guys might remember.
It's on a quarter.
It's on a quarter. It fell. It's off. The guy's face fell, remember? Betty testified that it was at least 1.5 times the length of the granite cliff profile, which was 40 feet long, and that it seemed to be rotating. The couple watched as the silent, illuminated craft moved erratically and bounced back and forth in the night sky. Approximately 1 mile south of Indian Head, which is another rocky feature, they said the object rapidly descended toward their vehicle, causing Barney to stop in the middle of the highway. The huge silent craft hovered approximately 80 to 100 feet above the Hills' 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. What a
sick!
Hell yeah!
And filled the entire. Don't touch the paint job. Whatever you do.
again, it's just they're trying to race for pinks.
Yeah.
And they won.
Filled the entire field of view in the windshield. It reminded Barney of a huge pancake. Now, admittedly, I was hungry at the time.
It was just dripping with syrup.
It's big and sticky. And it was $6.99 for all you could eat. Okay. Reminded him of a huge pancake. Carrying his pistol in his pocket. The 60s. He stepped away from the vehicle.
The 60s. Look at gun violence today.
That's true.
If every postman was armed.
It is very much
an armed postman.
It is very much like, Beatrice, would you lean over and grab my reading glasses and a firearm from the glove box? I'll go talk to them. Get
ready for that hashtag from Werewolf Radar. Hashtag arm the postman.
He is nope. He is definitely doing what we said he was gonna do. He's going to talk to him.
You've been scaring my wife.
Yeah, listen, you're taking up the road here, fellas. Okay.
What?
It reminded Barney of
very sociable.
He goes up with his pistol in his pocket. He stepped away from the vehicle and moved closer to the object. Using the binoculars, Barney claimed to have seen about 8 to 11 humanoid figures who were peering out of the craft's window, seeming to look at him. In unison, all but one figure moved to what appeared to be a panel on the rear wall of the hallway that encircled the front portion of the craft. The one remaining figure continued to look at Barney and communicated a message telling him to stay where you are and keep looking. Barney had a recollection of observing the humanoid forms wearing glossy black uniforms and black caps. Red lights on what appeared to be bat wing fins began to telescope out of the sides of the craft, and a long structure descended from the bottom of the craft.
Are we sure by craft they don't mean craft work?
The silent electronic music started blasting from 2 huge stacks. The silent craft approached. No, it was perfectly silent, it says. The silent craft approached to what Barney estimated was within 50 to 80 feet overhead and 300 feet away from him. On October 21st, 1961, Barney reported to National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomenon, aka NICAP, investigator Walter Webb, that the beings were somehow not human.
I think that's a fair assumption based on that.
Barney tore, in his quote unquote, tore the binoculars away from his face and ran back to his car in a near hysterical state. He told Betty, they're going to capture us. He saw the object again shift its location to directly above the vehicle. He drove away at high speed, telling Betty to look for the object. Run, Betty, run! She rolled down the window and looked up. Almost immediately, the Hills heard a rhythmic series of beeping or buzzing sounds, which they said seemed to bounce off the trunk of their vehicle. The car vibrated and a tingling sensation passed through the Hills' bodies. The Hills said that they experienced the onset of an altered state of consciousness that left their minds dulled. A second series of beeping or buzzing sounds returned the couple to full consciousness. They found that they had traveled nearly 35 miles south, but had only vague, spotty memories of that section of road. They recalled making a sudden, unplanned turn, encountering a roadblock, and observing a fiery orb in the road.
Get shot with the electronic mind ray.
Arriving home.
Zip, zip. That's what it sounds like.
Arriving home at dawn, the Hills assert that they had some odd sensations and impulses they could not readily explain. Betty insisted their luggage be kept near the back door rather than in the main part of the house. Their watches would never work again. Barney said that the leather strap for the binoculars was torn, although he could not recall it tearing. He did say he tore them away from his eyes.
They could have been there.
The toes of his best dressed shoes were scraped. Barney says he was compelled to examine his genitals in the bathroom, though he found nothing unusual.
That's very polite of him.
Okay, everything's still there. Everything where it's supposed to be. Betty, you have a look. No, Barney. They took long showers to remove possible contamination, and each drew a picture of what they have observed. Perplexed, the Hills say they tried to reconstruct the chronology of events as they witnessed the UFO and drove home, but immediately after they heard the buzzing sounds, their memories became incomplete and fragmented. After sleeping for a few hours, Betty awoke and placed the shoes and clothing she had worn during the drive into her closet, observing that the dress was torn at the hem, zipper, and lining. Later, when she retrieved the items from her closet, she noted a pinkish powder on her dress. She hung the dress on her clothesline and the pinkish powder blew away. But the dress was irreparably damaged. She threw it away, but then changed her mind, retrieved the dress, and hung it in her closet. Over the years, 5 laboratories have conducted chemical and forensic analysis on the dress. There were shiny concentric circles on the car's trunk that had not been there the previous day. Betty and Barney experimented with a compass, noting that when they moved it close to the spots, the needle would whirl rapidly. But when they moved it a few inches away from the shiny spots, it would drop down. So we're going to leave it there. This obviously gets huge. They report it to the government. It pops off in a big way. It ruins their lives in some ways. It benefits them greatly in others. Betty claims to have dreams and visitations for many years to come.
They go through hypnosis. I'm going to link one of the hypnosis sessions to the Dark Council members.
Yeah.
Listen to that when you have time. It is frightening and a good and where a lot of the stories of aliens come from in the description. Sure.
Barney died when he was only 46, unfortunately, and
which was a great thing to do when most men were dying at 38 from heart disease at the time.
True. Or war. But that is when you hear reference to the Betty and Barney Hill incident, that is what they're talking about. You'll see it referenced in pop culture. You'll notice it coming up more and more now that you know what it is, but it's a big one. So keep your eyes peeled and try not to get abducted from Jordan's Jam Pack, Alien of his through time. Alien, what was it? Alien History?
Alien Endgame.
Prophecies. The Jordan doll cycle.
Prophecies.
They want
to take us from there.